Hi everyone, it's Dr. Lalitaa here. Today I'm just literally finishing up an email that I'm sending to someone, and it's around the work that we're doing together around the inner critic. And I recently did a webinar on the inner critic, and what I found was a lot of people asked me a question: how do I get rid of it, and is it possible to ever get rid of my inner critic? And what I wanted to do was just to speak to you on a general sort of perspective of what the inner critic is, and also if you can ever just get rid of it completely. And the answer to that question is you can't get rid of your inner critic. It's about learning to manage this inner critic. It's about learning to communicate and respond. It's almost like this inner critic is just someone right now who feels really nasty, really critical, who stops you from doing things that you want to do. But it feels like because of that, you try and push it away and you think, I don't want this inner critic in my life. These negative thoughts of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling important, not feeling like you're valued by people. This becomes the noise that you're hearing from the inner critic. And what can happen is that inner critic can become louder and louder and louder in certain situations, but also certain days that inner critic might be louder. So say, for example, you are feeling a little bit tired, you're feeling a little bit run down, you're feeling like you're just quite stressed with a lot of things that are going on around you. That's when the inner critic can start to come out more, where you're hearing, oh, you know what, Jenny next door, she can handle all of this. She's got work, she's got 3 kids, and look, you can't even do this. So what tends to happen is you hear this inner critic, it becomes louder and louder on the days that you may have other things going on for you externally. And that's why I always say, try and do just a quick check-in in the morning, and just check in with yourself in terms of like, how am I feeling right now? And you're learning to understand if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling quite stressed. And it's like, okay, can I do something for myself to help me? Because you might not be able to take away these external pressures, but what you might be able to do is give yourself some sort of aiding, as opposed to listening to the inner critic and then punishing yourself. Or listening to the inner critic and thinking, see, I'm such a bad person, and then trying to work until 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night, waking up early to try and make ends meet, because you feel like, well, I'm not good enough, I need to make myself good enough. So this is where it's trying to understand how the inner critic is influencing your life at the minute. But also, what is the inner critic saying? Where is it coming from? Why is it there as well? Like, what is it trying to protect you from? And what I mean by protecting you is that the inner critic is there because previously you may have been in a situation where it was quite a distressing, distressing experience. So you may have been with a group of friends and you said something and everyone laughed, and you didn't like being in that place where people were laughing at you, and it made you feel quite distressed. It made you feel quite uncomfortable. Now, as a result of that, your inner child might be like, oh, not your inner child, your inner critic might be like, oh, we're not going to go back into a situation where we are going to be laughed at. Now, as a result of that, it's going to try and avoid it. So it's like, oh yeah, Jenny next door is inviting us around for drinks and she's got another 12, 13 people there. Instantly, anxiety kicks in. Like, like, what am I going to wear? How am I going to talk to all these people? And we feel quite pressured to perform or to be a certain way. And you've got your inner critic inside of you saying, no, but she's got them other people that are going to come and they're going to be talking about this and they're going to be talking about this, and what are you going to do with this? And you're trying to shut this off, this inner critic down, and you want to go over to Jenny. But then inner critic will be like, no, that's something that we don't want to do. But inner critic tends to come from your previous experiences and how you felt in the past, but also a fear of what might happen, again, based on your experiences and things that you've interpreted being quite distressing, or being that it's not going to have an impact, that it's not going to be, it's going to be distressing for you. So as a result of that, remember, your inner critic is trying to protect you. So the way to move forward with that is really trying to befriend this inner critic, really trying to understand what this inner critic wants and what it needs as well. Because it might be that it's trying to get this need met through the external world, but you can provide this need. But before you even try and provide it, you need to understand what it needs. So just like if a child is crying, you'll go and aid, you'll change a child's nappy or feed the child depending on what that child needs. It's the same with your inner critic. Your inner critic is crying out, is screaming out for something. And it's for us to just stop and listen and understand. And with that in mind, it's like, Actually, your inner critic is never going to go. Everyone has an inner critic, and it's how loud is it and how much it influences you. And yes, sometimes your inner critic can motivate you into doing the next thing, but also it's trying to see how healthy it is for you and whether ultimately it's having an impact on your emotional and psychological health. So if you have any comments or any questions around the inner critic, the way it works, let me know. Drop any messages and I will get back to you. And of course, if you need anything else, all you have to do is just let me know. So on that note, take care, have an amazing day, and I'm going to finish this email. Bye-bye.